It's midnight and you're tuned into Nightline with me, Muhammed. I'm Hamdan. The top stories. TVET grad salaries to be increased, says Prime Minister. And police probe into 3R issues involving 3 political leaders almost complete. Good morning. We begin with this headlining story. The government plans to increase the salaries of technical and vocational education and training TVET graduates to between 2,500 and 3,000 ringgit in the near future. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said currently TVET graduates earn between 1,800 and 2,000 ringgit, but this amount was insufficient as their skills were much sought after.
Kalau ditingkatkan lagi sebagaimana training PSDC, target kita lulusan TVET mesti cecah 2,500 hingga 3,000 ringgit. Ini yang dijanji oleh Tesla, dijanji oleh Geely.
Datuk Seri Anwar said this at the TVET Community Dialogue Session held in conjunction with the TVET at KKDW 2023 Expo in Kepala Batas Pulau Pinang on Sunday. He also stressed that the perception of TVET graduates being considered lower level compared with diploma and university graduates was far from the truth and needed to be changed. To prove the government's commitment on the matter, the Prime Minister said 6.8 billion ringgit had been set aside towards further developing TVET education in the country. At a separate event, Datuk Seri Anwar stressed that he has never used his authority as Prime Minister to betray the Malays and Islam. He said just because he was backing Chow Kon Yeow to continue in office as Pulau Pinang Chief Minister does not mean he was belittling the position of the Malays and Islam.
Saya tidak khianat. Saya terima kenyataan geopolitik dan realiti. Dan saya mahu negara ini aman. Semua negeri lain orang Melayu Islam pegang. Semua jawatan-jawatan utama, Agung, Perdana Menteri, Menteri Kewangan, Ketua Hakim Negara, Peguam Negara, Beramil Negara, semua orang Melayu dan Islam pegang. Selamatkan negara ini. Jangan izinkan ada permusuhan kaum yang menyebabkan kita kembali buntu kerana nilai kita dan kedangkalan ilmu.
He said this in his closing speech at the state-level Malaysia Madani seminar in Kepala Batas on Sunday. Datuk Seri Anwar also told the crowd present at the event that he was prepared to improve himself if there were any shortcomings on his part. He also reiterated his zero tolerance towards those who steal from the country's coffers and allow corruption to continue in the country.
Saya sedia perbaiki. Saya tidak datang sini mengatakan bahawa
Police investigations against caretaker Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi Matno, past President Tan Sri Abdul Hadi Awang and DAP Chairman Lim Guan Eng over their alleged remarks that touch on the religion, royalty and race or 3R issues are almost complete. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Husin on Sunday said the investigation papers were expected to be sent to the Attorney General's chambers next week.
Hampir selesai, kita akan menghantar kertas siasatan kita ke pihak Peguam Negara dalam secepatnya mungkin minggu depan. Semua statement telah pun lengkap diambil. 12 hari bulan malam, 3 hari bulan pagi dan 14 hari bulan pagi.
Prior to this, it was alleged that Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi had insulted the Sultan of Selangor over the appointment of Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syahri as the state's Menteri Besar during a ceramah or political talk recently. Police were also probing Tan Sri Abdul Hadi over his claims that DAP wanted to reinterpret Islam in the federal constitution and Lim for claiming Perikatan Nasional will destroy temples and deny religious rights in Pulau Pinang. Meanwhile, Tan Sri Razaruddin said despite Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi had sent a letter to the Selangor Palace to apologise to Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah for his alleged remarks, the probe against him will still proceed. The investigations on the 3 political leaders were being carried out under the Penal Code, Sedition Act, as well as Communications and Multimedia Act. In another development, Tan Sri Razaruddin said investigations into all election-related offences will be completed in 7 days from the day the case was reported. The top cop said this was to ensure a smooth process of the state elections, which will be held next month. He also urged all states to conduct ops chantas during the election period to beef up their security to ensure no untoward incident happens during nominations and polling day.
Kalau suruh tanya saya nak bagi nasihat, sebenarnya nasihat saya jangan cuba-cubalah buat. Pasal pihak polis tahu, kali ini kita akan tuduh di mahkamah secepatnya mungkin.
Tan Sri Razaruddin also said that a total of 9,602 additional police officers and personnel will be deployed to assist in the 6 state elections. Previously, the Election Commission EC has fixed August 12th as polling day, July 29th as nomination day, and August 8th for early voting for the state elections in Kedah, Terengganu, Kelantan, Pulau Pinang, Negeri Sembilan, and Selangor. In the meantime, Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail has denied the government's involvement in blocking caretaker Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi Matno's TikTok account. He said the government had other things to focus on instead and has no power to ban any TikTok account in the country as the social media platform is owned by a tech firm from China. In a Facebook post on Sunday, Datuk Seri Saifuddin said TikTok, like other social media platforms, is subject to regulations set by its owner, adding that TikTok would ban an account if it had received a lot of reports and complaints from other users. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, also issued a statement saying it had not received any instructions to block the Perikatan National Election Director's TikTok account. Previously, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi claimed that his TikTok account was suspended on Friday by the government to disrupt his election campaign. Moving on, police have reclassified the case relating to the alleged commotion involving a minister at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA, last month as disobeying an order by a civil servant. Selangor Police Chief Datuk Hussein Omar Khan confirmed the case involving Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Datuk Sri Tiong King Sing is now being investigated under Section 188 of the Penal Code. He said the investigation papers have been completed and will be referred to the Attorney General's chambers soon. It was reported previously that a minister had allegedly trespassed on the arrival hall of KLIA and ordered the Immigration Department to release a female tourist from China from its custody. Datuk Sri Tiong later admitted that he was the minister in question, but claimed that he had visited the airport to expose corruption at the country's main gateway and not to rescue the tourists as alleged in the reports. Now, more than 210,000 recipients of the Sumbangan Tunai Rahmah SDR who are in the hardcore poor category based on e-Kasih data will receive the Sumbangan Asas Rahmah SARA of 600 ringgit starting Monday. The aid to help the group to obtain their basic food needs would be distributed in stages to recipients in the peninsula, while those in Sabah, Sarawak and Labuan would receive the assistance on August 7th. In a statement on Sunday, the Finance Ministry said eligible recipients from the peninsula will receive SARA in cashless form, amounting to 100 ringgit per month for a period of 6 months until this December. The assistance will be automatically deposited through an account open using the recipient's MyCard for purchases at supermarkets or selected retail stores nationwide. The ministry added recipients in Kedah, Pulau Pinang, Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya, Negeri Sembilan, Kelantan and Terengganu will receive SARA starting Monday, while those from the rest of the peninsula will start receiving the aid on July 31st. Recipients from Sabah, Sarawak and Labuan, on the other hand, will receive SARA in the form of a one-off payment of 600 ringgit through credit into a bank account or cash at Bank Simpanan Nasional branches nationwide. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa bin Shah on Sunday witnessed the final demonstration at the closing ceremony of the Jungle Falcon Exercises Series 1 2023. The joint exercise between the Malaysian Army and the United Arab Emirates Land Forces UAE LF took place at Felda Sungai Pancing Selatan in Kuantan Pahang. Al Sultan Abdullah was accompanied by Region of Pahang, Tengku Hassanal Ibrahim Alam Shah, Defence Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan, and UAE LF Commander Major General Said Rashid Al-Shahi. The King, in his address, expressed pride in the cooperation and performance of the two defence forces involved in the joint exercise, adding that the training provided an excellent opportunity for both militaries to share knowledge, skills and experience. The Jungle Falcon exercise was held since July 4th and involved vehicles such as Adnan and Gempita armoured fighting vehicles, as well as the Pendeka tanks. The exercise involved 50 officers and 536 personnel of the 12th Battalion Royal Regiment Mechanised and 19 officers and 116 personnel of the UAE LF 61st Infantry Battalion. When we return, death toll reaches 35 as torrential rain continues to wreak havoc in South Korea. Stay with us. The foreign front, South Korean authorities on Sunday recovered the bodies of 9 people who died trapped in a submerged tunnel as the death toll following torrential rain hits 35. Nearly 400 rescue workers, including divers, were searching the tunnel in the central city of Cheongju. Vehicles, including a bus, were swamped by a flash flood on Saturday evening. 9 people had survived by clinging to the sides of the guardrails around the tunnel. According to local media, the 4-lane underpass became inundated when the banks of the nearby Miho River collapsed following 3 days of heavy rain. The deluge swept through the tunnel too quickly for people to escape, estimating the tunnel would be filled with water in as little as 2 or 3 minutes. 35 victims have now been identified nationwide after a week of torrential downpour, with at least 10 people missing and 7,866 affected by evacuations. Japan issued heat-stroke alerts on Sunday to tens of millions of its people as near-record-high temperatures scorched swathes of the country, while torrential rain pummeled other regions. The government issued heat-stroke alerts for 20 of the country's 47 prefectures, mainly in the east and southwest, affecting tens of millions of people. The public was also warned that the heat was at life-threatening levels as temperatures soared to nearly 40 degrees Celsius in some areas, including the capital, Tokyo. Some areas experienced their highest temperatures in more than 4 decades, including Hirono Town in Fukushima Prefecture with 37.3 degrees Celsius and Nasu Shiobara with 35.4 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, torrential rain continued to lash northern Japan, while flooding and at least 1 landslide have been reported as a man was found dead in a car submerged in a rice field in Akita Prefecture. Japan is experiencing its annual rainy season, which often brings heavy downpour and sometimes results in flooding and landslides, as well as casualties. At least 4,000 people have been evacuated after wildfire burned out of control on the Spanish island of La Palma on Sunday as Europe struggled to cope with a heat wave. Authorities said the fire in La Palma, which started in the early hours of Saturday in El Pinar de Punta Gorda, has already consumed 4,500 hectares of land and at least a dozen homes. The blaze had also forced the evacuation of people from the villages of Punta Gorda and neighboring Tijarafe. Following the blaze, 10 aerial units and 300 firefighters on the ground sought to bring the wildfire under control on the island, which forms part of a Spanish archipelago off the coast of Western Africa. The forest fire is the first natural crisis on the island since a volcanic eruption in September 2021. Perak continues Super League revival. Sports when we come back. Two matches took place on Saturday. Terengganu FC had to be satisfied with a share of points after they were held to a goalless draw by PDRM FC. At the Sarawak State Stadium, Argentinian midfielder Luciano Goicoechea provided the opener for Kuching City FC in the 13th minute before Perak FC levelled the score before half-time thanks to Abu Kamara. Both sides pushed hard for a winner, but Perak FC emerged victorious after Korean player Seo Seo-nung struck the winner in the 80th minute, sealing a 2-1 win. With the win, Perak FC climbed to the 11th spot with 13 points, 7 points behind Kuching City FC. Now, as Malaysia continues its journey towards becoming a sports powerhouse, certain quarters are calling for greater emphasis on grassroots sports development. This will enable the country to tap into a treasure trove of competent athletes, fostering a generation of champions across various disciplines by focusing on nurturing young talents from the ground up. Ahmad has the story.
Recently, the Malaysian contingent returned home from the 2023 Cambodia SEA Games with 34 gold medals after finishing in 7th position overall, which was regarded as the country's worst performance since the 1995 Chiang Mai SEA Games in Thailand. Due to this, many quarters have raised doubt about the national athletes' abilities in bringing glory to the country in the foreseeable future. However, National Under-17 football team manager Christopher Raj said this can be overcome by revamping and strengthening the grassroots sports developments in Malaysia, which requires a lot of efforts from all quarters.
Parents play a big role. This is purely parents. Of course, you have the teachers who are dedicated. But if you talk based on the current context, yes, teachers play a big role. But also, we need to find out if the teachers have the qualification and the understanding of sports.
He also highlighted the need for sports schools and coaches with proper qualifications that can identify talents early on to provide them with the necessary guidance, which are crucial to hone their skills.
Maybe it's about time even the sports school needs to be revamped, because I don't think the sports school actually is producing enough athletes comparatively 10 years ago who are competitive enough, not only for SEA Games, but I'm talking about Asian Games and the world level. So you want to be competitive, then you have to train and you have to be at the best place to be the best in the world. Sports in schools cannot be held just as a carnival. You can't. Now, you just want to finish it as a syllabus. No, you can't. There has to be continuous growth.
As for national squash player Siva Sanggari Subramaniam, learning or adapting successful grassroots sports development models or programs from other countries could be the key to unearth more capable young talents in Malaysia.
I mean, learn from that, because during those periods, for example, now it's summer in the US, right? So they do a lot of summer camps where a lot of kids, because there's different camps in different cities, different areas, so there's a lot of kids that are coming to the camps, and then you slowly, the coaches will identify who's good and stuff, but I don't think they're doing it enough in Malaysia to really identify who's doing well. It's just maybe once a year kind of thing.
However, strong and effective collaborations between government bodies, private sports academies and clubs, as well as sports federations are also pivotal to make these initiatives successful.
MOE and KBS must work together, revamp the structure of sports in the school, because the policy that they set today will determine what Malaysia is going to do in the next 10 years. So somebody has to sow, right? It is a sowing and a reaping process. So someone has to sow the seed now, restructure, revamp the sports in school. In 15 years from now, maybe we'll have 2 or 3 gold medals coming out of the Olympics.
Malaysia can tap its hidden talents by prioritizing grassroots sports, supported by parental involvement, early exposure, and investments in infrastructure, coaching, as well as competitions. This comprehensive approach will cultivate a new generation of athletes capable of achieving international recognition, as well as bringing honor to the nation. Ahmad, TV3.
On to tennis, the 2023 Wimbledon Championship. Novak Djokovic is looking to capture his 3rd major title of 2023 and 24th of his illustrious career. Standing in his way at the All England club is top-ranked Carlos Alcaraz, who is seeking his first victory at Wimbledon and 2nd major overall. After Djokovic breezed through a 6-1 first set, the 2nd set defined the type of thrilling back-and-forth action expected of this emerging rivalry. Alcaraz, however, prevailed 9-7 in the tiebreaker to even the match at 1 set apiece. Alcaraz then made quick work of the third set to win 6-1, and currently the duo are battling for the winner of the fourth set, with Alcaraz leading at 1-love. Man faces 790 years in prison for raping 2 daughters. The details after this short break. In Sarawak, 3 people were killed while another was seriously injured when the 4-wheel drive vehicle they were travelling in went out of control and crashed into a tree in Cebu on Sunday. The incident occurred at Jalan Deshon at about 11:30 a.m. 2 of the victims killed were identified as Tiong Meng Ng and Brian Lau Pik Singh, aged 32 and 27 respectively, while the identity of the other deceased, a woman, was yet to be ascertained. Authorities said the injured victim, identified as 23-year-old Camellia Lee Mei Ki, has been taken to Cebu Hospital for treatment, while the 3 bodies were handed over to the police for further action. The cause of the accident was being investigated under the Road Transport Act. In Terengganu, a nursery teacher and 2 toddlers were slightly injured when a multi-purpose vehicle crashed into the childcare premises in Chukai on Sunday morning. The 7:30 a.m. incident at Taman Sri Chukai occurred when a retired army personnel was reversing the MPV out of his house, which was opposite the nursery. Kemaman Police Chief Superintendent Hanyan Ramlan said the nursery teacher injured her knee, while the 2 children aged 1 and 3 suffered injuries to the face, head and back. The initial investigation found that the 71-year-old man lost control of his MPV when backing out of his house, resulting in the vehicle ramming into the nursery. All the 3 victims received treatment at Kemaman Hospital, while the man was unhurt. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. And lastly, in Johor, a cleaner is facing up to 790 years in prison and 201 lashes after he pleaded guilty to 19 counts of rape and 11 charges of sexual assault against his 2 daughters. The 53-year-old accused gave the plea after all the charges were read out to him before Judge Abu Bakar Manat in the Muar Sessions Court on Sunday. The man committed the offences on both victims, now aged 16 and 12, at 2 separate houses in Jalan Jeram Tepi and Bakri since 2018, when one of them was aged 11. The last incident occurred in July. His heinous acts were uncovered after the 16-year-old daughter was taken to a hospital due to chest pains and was found to be pregnant by the doctor attending to her. The police report was then lodged and the father was arrested on Saturday. The rape charges under the Penal Code provides for imprisonment of up to 30 years and a maximum 10 lashes for each count, while the offence of sexual assault, framed under Sexual Offences Against Children Act, carries a jail term of up to 20 years and whipping upon conviction. The court did not grant bail and set August 8th for sentencing. City of Beni Matir, women meticulously remove silkworms from their cocoons using only their hands to use the treasured material in creating artistic decorative pieces. Let's take a look as we wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Muhammed. Hamdan. Thank you for watching and stay safe.